Hi, my name is Benjamin Tawia, and today I present to you a critique of the work by Charlene Hunter-Gault, known as the New News Out of Africa, Uncovering Africa's Renaissance. It was printed by the Oxford University Press. Summary: Charlene Hunter-Gault covered South Africa for PBS and CNN during and after the apartheid era. President de Klerk ended apartheid in South Africa in 1990 and freed Nelson Mandela after 27 years in jail. Mandela went on to become the first non-white South African president in 1994. South Africa had a bloodless transition from a white minority rule to a black majority democratic government. It was deemed a political miracle. The TRC, Truth and Reconciliation Committee, was formed. It was headed by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and they were charged with the duty to document voluntary confessions of atrocities committed during the apartheid era in exchange for a full absolution. This was one of the secrets to their political success. The young democracy was faced with a myriad of problems. In healthcare, there was lack of facilities and trained staff. In education, there was lack of infrastructure and affordability. In economics, there was lack of education, there was poor skill set of the populace, and then there was entrenchment in poverty. HIV was introduced into the country in the 1990s and it spread quickly among the population. It affected up to about 25% of the adult population at one time. Propagation was accelerated by the false notion that intercourse with virgins of any age was a cure. Mistrust and possible sabotage by pre-apartheid healthcare institutions was also a contributing factor. And it was also aided by the slow reaction to the crisis by the ANC leadership. South Africa had unusually high crime rates, which was mainly a result of the unresolved effects of apartheid. There were other factors like the glaring income disparity between rich and poor, femicide, where people just kill their female counterparts they don't like, and illegal firearms. And all these were highly concentrated among the black poor. Thabo Mbeki envisioned and pursued an African renaissance of a stable democratic state, respect for human rights, end of violent conflicts, and a better life for all African inhabitants. As a result, there was a peace deal that was struck between warring Congolese factions, which was negotiated and signed in South Africa at the cost of about $3 million to the South African government. NEPAD, New Partnership for African Development, a multinational African organization, was conceived and defined by 5 African presidents: South Africa's Thabo Mbeki, Algeria's Abdulaziz, Egypt's Hosni Mubarak, Nigeria Olusegun Obasanjo, and Senegal Abdoulaye Wade. The goal of the NEPAD was to eliminate poverty by concentrating on growth and development, halting marginalization of Africa in the global arena, and accelerating the empowerment of women. NEPAD also developed a framework for accountability by African leaders, which was later adopted by the AU, which was a replacement of the OAU. Since 2001, there have been many political successes across Africa, notable among which are free elections in Nigeria, Mali, Senegal, and Benin, some of which are transitional elections, meaning that one party is leaving for the other to occupy. There was a shared government that was built in Burundi after their conflicts, and there was a conflict resolution in Liberia where the president there, um, President Doe, was captured and killed by Prince Yomi Johnson and Charles Taylor. They finally and successfully transferred into a democratic government. There was conflict resolution in Cote d'Ivoire, and despite Robert Mugabe's grip in Zimbabwe, these show that the political structures in Africa are becoming more stable. Africa is constantly portrayed as a hopeless continent, always with a begging bowl, by the foreign media. To challenge and reverse this notion, African journalists are the first line of our defense. Politically, African journalists have defined themselves as guardians of the interests of the people and not the powers that be, and they are working to entrench technology. Encouraging African journalists to tell their stories in their own way without any imposed pressure will help them and others to embrace Africa, the mother of us all. Critique. From the onset, I felt there was evoking of emotions, especially with accounts like Teresa telling us that black policemen came in and beat her up and bruised her breasts with blood on her head, which was in page 9, and then white officers testifying to drugging and killing Sijwe Kondile in page 24. Also, I feel that the figures for HIV and crime and economics would have been better presented in a table or infographics or graphs. The soup of figures and time frames and statistics made ingestion of the information a little more difficult. Now, comparing the ratios of the HIV statistics to countries like USA or other countries that are not affected by apartheid would have helped us gain a better perspective as to the unusually high prevalent rates in South Africa. Compared to South Africa, other nations have much less prevalent HIV rates. South Africa has at least 5 times more. This implies the work of some form of accelerant. They are not a different species of humans. Now, the notion of the virgin cure gives credence to the method by which the HIV was propagated, so that stories like following the death of her mother, Nomsa's father infected her with HIV, being a 6-year-old, as it was said in page 38, will be less sensational, and it would have given a better impression of the African male rather than the sordid ideology you come up with. I know maybe they may be sexualized, but I don't think pedophilia is tolerated in any place, let alone a mainstream practice. The role of religion in the foregoing discussion with reference to South Africa, in my opinion, was largely unexplored. With Archbishop Desmond Tutu as one of the pillars of anti-apartheid, faith must have played some role in some of these events, but the book was largely silent on the issue, except in the case of Zimbabwe, in page 94. Through her account, I have a better view of the dynamics in other parts of the continent. I gathered that African politics is less volatile than it was in the past, but for a few embers in the form of Mugabe that need to be snuffed out. The format of first-hand reporting lent credence to the account, from her recount of interactions with Nelson Mandela Thabo Mbeki, Bill Clinton, I had no doubt she was there. Comparison of the African struggle to the days of segregation made it easier for Americans to relate to the report. Overall, I think the author did convey a great deal of information to an otherwise uninformed populace, me included, about issues that they would have never bothered to explore. I was privy to information that only the foresight, zeal, and connections of Charlene Hunter-Gault, coupled with the sponsorship of powerful and well-funded networks she worked for, could have provided. Thank you.